Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you a 2012 team preview for the Minnesota Vikings. We're going to start with their offense to see what we can expect the Vikings to look like this upcoming season. If the Vikings offense is going to take huge strides in 2012, they need second-year quarterback Christian Ponder to make the necessary progressions in this game. What Ponder does well is get outside the pocket, throws well on a run. He has that mobility that could extend drives and extend passing plays to get guys open downfield, but he has to work on his eyes. He has to make sure he doesn't lock in on one target. He also has to stay healthy, something he hasn't shown he can do at Florida State, which is why you see a guy like Joe Webb come in the game and do exceptionally well. Webb is another young quarterback, so the Vikings have two young quarterbacks that they have to develop. They have to do a better job of getting these guys repetitions. Webb is a guy that's too dynamic to keep off the field. Ponder's mobility gives you a chance, but he has to learn to play within the pocket in order to take full flight. And if this Vikings passing game is going to improve, it's all going to fall on the shoulders of number 7. We know the running game in Minnesota goes through that guy right there, future Hall of Famer Adrian Peterson. He had a gruesome knee injury last year on Christmas Eve, but looks to be healthy enough to start the season. But I'm thinking the Vikings are going to bring him along slowly and keep him fresh for the long marathon that is the NFL season. But Vikings fans shouldn't worry, because Toby Gerhart is a guy that I like. I think he can come in and do a great job of filling in for Adrian Peterson. You saw what he was able to do in the time he had last year against the Redskins, against the Lions. Did a great job in retrospect, but I think they're going to be solid. They bring over Jerome Felton, the fullback. They get him coming over from Detroit. Solid pickup right there. I'm sorry, from Indianapolis. And also keep an eye on Lex Hilliard, the backup running back, fullback type of hybrid. A guy that's going to come in and get some ticks, could provide some outstanding minutes for this team. But I think the running game will be vital for the team's success this year. If they could lean on the running game again and ease Christian Ponder and Joe Webb into the ball game, the Vikings can surprise some people this season. Outside of the super explosive Percy Harvin, the Vikings have some serious questions at the receiver position. It's almost like they're trying to get consistent play out of players that have been inconsistent their whole career. But the tight end position is very promising. I'm a big fan of Kyle Rudolph, the second-year guy out of Notre Dame. He's going to become one of the better tight ends in this league and should help out Christian Ponder a lot. And I also like backup tight end they bring over free agent John Carlson out of Seattle. This guy did a lot of great things for the Seahawks in that offense. And the third tight end, Mickey Schuler, I'm a big fan of his as well, out of Penn State's second-year guy. But everywhere else on this receiving core, there are questions. Maybe that's why the Vikings went into this draft and got two guys from Arkansas. Jarius Wright, the explosive playmaker. He's going to do a lot of damage in the slot and also can help out in the return game. And his compadre, Greg Childs, 6'3", 217 pounds, big physical wide receiver. The Vikings are getting this guy that's 2 years removed from an injury, so they should see the best of Greg Childs. But when you look at what they brought in the offseason, you know, they bring in Jerome Simpson, decent guy, but not a guy you want to hang your hat on. They have holdover Michael Jenkins. So there's some questions right there at the receiver position outside of Percy Harvin. Maybe this might be more of a tight end pass type of attack, but either way, they have to get better production out those guys on the flanks. Vikings came into the offseason having to get better on the offensive line, which is why they went with the consensus #1 tackle, Matt Khalil out of USC. He's going to help this offensive line tremendously. Why? You look at Charlie Johnson. He's going to slide down from left tackle to left guard, probably a better fit there anyway. So you're going to see better play out of Charlie Johnson. They bring over Jeff Swartz from the Carolina Panthers, free agent guard. He's going to help bolster the interior. And you already have holdover John Sullivan, who should just get better and better each and every year. Real leader on that offensive line at the center position. Phil Loholt is the guy on the right side, been a starter since his rookie year. So they have a pretty good starting offensive line, and I like the depth that they have behind these guys. Brandon Fusco is a guy I'm really keeping an eye on out of Slippery Rock, second-year guy. And also tackle guard combo, DeMarcus Love out of Arkansas, another player that can provide depth along this offensive line. The O-line got a bad rap last year, in my opinion. When you bring in a rookie quarterback that holds the football a little bit too long, and also a mobile quarterback, they run themselves into sacks, and that gives the offensive line, that makes the offensive line look worse than it really was. But I think the Vikings offensive line will be improved this season. And what was supposed to be a down year for the Minnesota Vikings defensive line actually turned out to be one of the more productive years. Jared Allen had 22 sacks last season, terror coming off the edge, and will continue to be a thorn in the side of opposing quarterbacks this season. Ray Edwards was gone last year, and that's where the question mark was, but Brian Robinson stepped in and provided a lot of pass rushing opportunities, took advantage of the one-on-one opportunities he had that were created by Jared Allen. And Everson Griffin is a guy that came in, spot duty, played in all 16 games, provided more pass rush. So they were able to keep a healthy rotation going and getting after the quarterback. Now on the interior, I like what I saw out of second-year guy Christian Ballard. They drafted him last year out of Iowa, played a lot of minutes, good rotational guy at both tackle spots, and also can play in and spot duty. And Kevin Williams, you have to talk about this guy. If he's healthy for 16 games, he's still one of the more dominant defensive tackles in this league. LaTroy Guillen is another player, better suited probably to play the 3 technique, but he's going to be moved to nose tackle, so he should probably get a lot of penetration on the interior. So overall, this Vikings defensive line will continue to grow, continue to get better, because there is a lot of depth and talent across the board. Now, there's talent back here in the linebacking core for the Minnesota Vikings, but there's also some question marks. Now, Chad Greenway, I'm a big fan of. This guy does a lot of things very well. Active around the line of scrimmage, excels in coverage, and is also an outstanding blitzer. So he's not the question. The question I have is about guys like Jasper Brinkley. He's going to be replacing E.J. Henderson, a longtime middle linebacker. You have to wonder how healthy he is. Now, he has talent. He has the skill set. He's coming off an injury. He missed all of last year. Can he step up and fill the void? I also have a question about Aaron Henderson, E.J.'s brother. He's going to be playing on a 1-year deal. That shows how much the Vikings believe in what he can bring to the table. I think he has solid skill set, but he has to step up and be a huge playmaker and earn that long-term deal. But keep an eye on a guy like Audie Cole out of North Carolina State. They drafted him in the 6th round. I'm a big fan of his as well. 6'4", 245-pound linebacker, can play all 3 positions. He's going to be asked to provide depth along the linebacking core and also help out on special teams, but I think this guy has the potential to be a starter down the line. The Vikings secondary will look a lot better in 2012 as opposed to last year when they were riddled with injuries and guys missing time due to suspension. You have to like the fact that Antoine Winfield returns one of the best tackling corners in the league. And also Chris Carr comes back after missing the last 10 games of last year due to off the field issues, arrest issues. He's a big corner. They're going to welcome him back at 6'2", 212 pounds. They bring over Chris Carr from the Baltimore Ravens. So there's some talent added to the secondary. And you look at Mistral Raymond, this guy did a solid job being thrust into action due to injuries and off the field concerns, so he should have a better year this year. But you look at the 2 first-round picks, the 1 first-round pick in Harrison Smith, the safety out of Notre Dame. Classic in the box type of safety, straight line guy, that's a seek and destroy type of safety. May have some liabilities in coverage, but I don't think the Vikings are going to use him in that situation. And you also look at Josh Robertson. They got him out of Central Florida. Big speed type of guy, 4.29 in the 40-yard dash. Also has some significant ball skills, and that's what they need. They need to get those interceptions, especially when you have a dominant pass rush. So look for the Vikings secondary to be vastly improved this season. I think the Vikings can and will be in every ball game this year. Reason why: defensive line can get after the quarterback, linebackers are aggressive, the running game helps control the clock, and improved healthy secondary. All signs point for the Minnesota Vikings to have improvement in 2012. The cause for concern has to be Christian Ponder and Joe Webb. Can these guys consistently play well for 16 weeks? If Ponder can't do it, then you have to go with Joe Webb. If Joe Webb can't do it, then you have to find a veteran, Sage Rosenfels. Someone has to step in and play consistent play from the quarterback position. If so, then the Vikings can look to improve dramatically over 2011. I think the Vikings finished 4th in the NFC North Division. I'm a big fan of Leslie Frazier, and he gets a full offseason to work with Christian Ponder and that young offense. If everything can stay intact as a whole, as far as offensive consistency, these guys will be a lot better than people think. Defensively, they're going to be in every ball game. The pass rush is going to be there. They're going to get Adrian Peterson back at full strength, probably around the middle of the season, unless they start him right away. But you can see the Vikings winning 6 to 8 games this year on the strength of the running game, the defense, and the special teams. If they can get consistent play from the quarterback spot, if the receivers show up and step up big in these games and take advantage of those one-on-one opportunities created by play action passes, then the Vikings can surprise some people and finish with a 500 record. But this team is maybe a year or 2 away from competing.